First time.
Fucking shit, this fucking timeline is lit all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner. Holy fucking cow, this fucking timeline is all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Fucking shit, this fucking timeline is lit all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner. Holy fucking cow, this fucking timeline is all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Fucking shit, this fucking timeline is lit all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner. Holy fucking cow, this fucking timeline is all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Fucking shit, this fucking timeline is lit all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner. Holy fucking cow, this fucking timeline is all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Holy fucking shit, this fucking timeline is lit all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner. Holy fucking cow, this fucking timeline is all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Holy fucking shit, this fucking timeline is lit all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner. Holy fucking cow, this fucking timeline is all over. It's over. World's biggest Alex Joner.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Being fat is fit-phobic. Do better, people. Do better. I'm changing the world one fit-phobic person at a time. Welcome to a semi-spontaneous cider house going on here on what the hell night is it? Tuesday, I believe. My name is John Ward. I never code transitions. You know that. What's going on, chat? Say hello. Today we will be watching Bob Casey v. Dave McCormick. But first, let's introduce everybody. As always, I never know what order you're going to show up in. So be ready. Jack Kentner is in the house. What's going on, Jack?
Nothing much. Just ready to watch a debate.
Just ready. You got all your prostitute killing in today? Mihai Shogor with us again, also in his Chad the Impaler hat. Glad to see it.
Oh, yeah. I'm really excited to be here. Nothing more exciting than watching Bob Casey talk. I'm just...
Fortunately,
wait.
we have some beers. A new guest today, Michael Scott. Welcome.
Howdy. I'm ready to see McCormick underperform yet again.
And since you're the new guy, right, exactly. Since you're the new guy, you're wearing a hat that is noteworthy. For what reason?
The Butler rally hat. I was at Butler.
You were there.
Yep, the original day.
Were you the shooter?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
No.
The shooter.
Looking a little suspicious, but this should hopefully show all of us. I will throw a little jungle music on here. Let me bring that volume up. We will run to the chat, and then we'll see what kind of shit we feel like talking about. That's a little too much jungle music. Sorry about that. See what kind of shit we feel like talking about. The debate starts at 7 Eastern. I'm showing 6:38, so that'll give us about 20 minutes. I did not get the big monitor TV in here, so I can't read this, but I can read them all separately. I'll try to keep up, but say hello. Remember that you get up to 10 emojis in the chat. They should fly across the screen. Let me try a couple myself here. Let's see what happens. Let's confirm that that's working. Yes, they are. YouTube, Rumble, Pilled, and X. We've been having some trouble with Rumble. I see the angriest Ginger over there. Let me say hello, Ginger. He got his test call in for the 3cc. Any questions, thoughts? If you're in PA, by all means, definitely say hello. Tyrannosaurus Rex, wrecked over on Pilled. Hit that red pill like Doug Emhoff hits his girlfriends. It's that kind of chat, Michael. Get used to it. You just got to get on board with it.
Oh no! If these are based, if these are based people, then
Yes,
that's
they're
where I
very based. Everybody thinks I'm Volker until they meet my chat.
feel-
So, all right. So, Pilled, everything seems to be functional. And again, in the new studio, no drop frames, very high speed. What's going on? What's our debate preview? Who's going to win?
Can I make a simple request before we start this show?
I guess.
Can you turn that fucking light off?
What? The color changing one?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
Giving him
one
seizures.
that
Oh my gosh,
stare at
yeah, sorry.
the
I got
entire
it on
time.
the old hue loop. Hold on. One day I'll master this. Yes, I can do that is the answer.
the hue loop.
It's on a hue loop. It's looping through hues. It's being very RGBTQ plus right now. That was a good job. How's that? Is
Infinite
that good?
infinite
Are you okay with that?
I'm satisfied.
Good Lord. I believe, let me just double check. Yeah, so this is starting up here. We have it properly queued up. We have some X in case we want to pull anything up. We're there. Somebody chat. Somebody throw out some ideas. Somebody make some predictions.
Yeah, so I guess we should start off by giving our thoughts on the last debate.
What are your thoughts on the last debate?
My thoughts was that, honestly, the moderator was the MVP for not being a biased piece of shit like every other debate we see nowadays.
That's a lie because that should be the basic thing of a moderator. The fact of the matter is, Casey looked about as bad as Joe Biden, if I'm being honest with you. He was a corpse. But McCormick didn't look any better by constantly saying, go to BobCaseyLies.com. No one cares.
I lost
No
my
one
focus
cares.
a little bit on the last debate. I'm not going to lie. I'm doing my best to be. Can somebody read that? I can't see it.
Happy belated Columbus Day, world champions. Everyone crying about white colonialism is just mad, and we're the best at it.
Get good world.
It's a skill
skill
issue. Get good world, and God bless America.
That's our man, Lord of the Ree. He just sent me. He laid down a original recording of Hank Williams' "Angel of Death" because Mihai wouldn't do it. It's quite nice. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Thank you, Lord of the Ree. Always good to have you. No, I zoned out a bit during the last debate. I don't know a ton about these local races, honestly, but I know Trump has endorsed McCormick, so we're rooting for McCormick. Damn it, no matter what.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jack, you were saying somebody was saying something, and it wasn't me.
Yeah, honestly, I was a bit surprised by how much they agree with each other on several topics, like their agreement to rely on nuclear energy, their agreement to support the tariffs on China, and honestly, their agreement that illegal immigration is a problem, but they just disagreed on which party was the problem. Bob Casey blamed the Republicans for not signing on with onto the bipartisan border bill, which really didn't address the border all that much if you actually read it. And Dave McCormick, he mentioned how Bob Casey just toes the party line on illegal immigration, so he just wants more and more of it. Like he supports funding for sanctuary cities, etc.
I think, can someone give us, for the uninitiated and the many non-Pennsylvania people in the chat, like Bob Casey is the incumbent and has been for how, like a long time?
Bob Casey has been the incumbent. Hold up, let me look this up real
And
quick.
before Bob Casey, his father was a governor of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, his
there you go.
his father was actually
His
for
father-
a Democrat. He
yeah.
was a blue dog dem, so he was the quote unquote.
No, his father was
based.
definitely like the old school Clinton '90s Democrat.
Yeah, he used to
But
be.
he's rode his father's name now for many years, just continuing
So
to get
he
a Senate
played
seat
the
without-
saxophone.
Because old boomers can't do their research. That's why
Right,
they,
and-
they still vote for
Well,
him.
it's just not even
This
that. He-
ageism's killing me inside. I'm
he's-
twice all of your ages. Let's be careful. No, I'm kidding. I hate everybody, including boomers and young people.
It's not that they don't pay attention. There's nothing to pay attention to. He's literally done nothing his entire Senate career. Like he's just he just votes whatever they tell him to. He's never proposed anything himself.
Like 100, it was 99.8% down the line or something
yeah, no,
like that.
he's never once stood for anything or like.
Did we?
actually
What
fought
was that
Pennsylvania.
0.001% that he differed in opinion on? Do we know? What was that? What was that one issue?
His CPAC guy probably told him to.
He's been in office longer than Fetterman and Shapiro, but they're infinitely more popular than him. So that should give you an idea of how much he stays in his basement.
Pennsylvania here. Casey is a progressive turd. I can't. Someone read
He's
that
been-
username.
He's been.
He's whatever he needs to be. He's just whatever the Democratic Party is today.
It's
he's-
somebody Dave's broken ego.
Darksta
he's been-
Dave's broken.
He's been in the
Great
Senate.
comment.
He's been in the Senate more longer than my brother's been alive. He's been in the Senate over 17 years. So he's coming up on his
That is a long time.
yeah.
That is wild.
Well, no, actually 16 years. Yeah, he's coming up on his 5th run for the Senate.
We're
so.
keeping an eye here just quickly on the very prestigious 6 ABC something Philadelphia, who's going to definitely copyright strike us after this. That is totally fine. We're used to it. How much effect do we think, is this debate going to change any hearts and minds tonight?
All I know is that last debate, McCormick made me want to vote for him less after. So we're.
But same, honestly, but Bob Casey, less. Like, I didn't want to vote at all after that one.
I'm one of the
Is that-
conservatives who very much is like, if you don't support the modern day America First values, then you don't get my vote. And in fact, I might vote for the devil I know before the devil I don't.
That's well put. I'm not trying to be anti-Israel or anything, but I just am getting a little tired. It's not unique to them. Ukraine, all the other countries we send $8 trillion to, and then with the hurricane, and then how they each got a $750 loan that they have to pay back or they lose their house or some shit. Yeah, I'm fucking done with that.
Yeah, for context, like foreign aid was literally the first question of the last debate, and that, it just made me eye roll. But
Yep, it's an eye-rolling sort of situation. So maybe they both have learned, and we'll hear about America and Americans in this debate. Wouldn't that be nice?
I doubt it.
Continue to help me out here if you see any good chats here, because I cannot quite see the screen. Tomorrow, that's what I was going to ask you. Mihai, can I use your truck tomorrow?
For
putting him on the
Moving
spot
the
here.
giant TV up on the wall so I can finally read the damn chat.
yeah, we can do tomorrow.
Now's the time to have that conversation. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Again, just quickly, if you're joining us, we are in the new Studio Center, State College, Pennsylvania, opening to the public very shortly before the election for sure. You can watch this live on YouTube,
What do
Rumble,
we-
Pilled and X. Yeah, just interrupt my stupid plug. Go ahead.
I mean, nobody's watching on Rumble or Pilled or X anyways. YouTube.
That's
gotta start-
actually not true. a
Actually,
lot of people are on Rumble. these
Pilled
days.
is hopping right now. Look at all these emojis.
What we need to do is start streaming on Kick. That's where all the people are moving toward.
We can add Kick. X is, for whatever reason, a little lonely, although my X account doesn't have very many followers. It's gotten better
yeah.
since I had a chat with Steven Bonarilli or whatever his fucking name is.
Since you called Elon.
Orange
Since I gave Elon a buzz. I know Zeb, who was up here for that, was at the Destiny and just debated Owen Schroyer down in South Carolina.
he also called him a cuck mid-debate. So
He didn't have the artistry and the timing of it, though. I got to be honest. I saw it happen. I was like, mine was better. Alex Jones, come on. Should have had me instead of Owen Schroyer. If I grow a beer out, we kind of look similar. Was there a good comment? That sounded like a good comment laugh.
well, Moonchild, Twitch is very liberal and it's very biased. To give you some context,
Twitch and Kick are different things.
yeah.
Yes.
I should know this, but I
Kick is
don't.
way more conservative than
Kick is more conservative than Twitch.
Twitch kicks conservative men off for just like talking normally, but to let women show their tits for hours.
Well, we should all make Twitch accounts and have a drinking contest of how fast you can get kicked off.
I'm good, actually.
I bet you got to lose your fear of getting banned. All right, I got banned from Twitter on the last election night, and I'm back on there. I had to make a new account, but man, those banned tweets, never going to be able to run for office. There was a lot of sexism and racism in my rage that night when I found out Trump got screwed. This sometime in 2020.
Well, I mean, not gonna lie, Trump
can-
in 2020 did not run a great campaign. So
Can we get back into my interruption that you interrupted?
Yes, would you like to continue your interruption?
I'm just trying to figure this out now because if we're talking about using the truck tomorrow, we might as well just figure it all out.
So you go back to the
We might as well just figure it all out at once.
You see it? We got the mount up there. I just need the TV.
Well, I'm just saying, election night, what are we thinking here? I'm thinking, like, how possible is it to get a camera out there while we're live?
Oh,
streaming?
like massive party?
No, I mean, like, have someone working a live board, like, checking, like, crossing off states.
I could do that. I love statistics. I could.
Oh, like literally do a broadcast.
Yeah.
Well, we're still going to have to just use the numbers from some other broadcast.
Yeah. No, but we can be having Mike.
I
out
am
there.
for it. Yeah, if you want to put it, are you putting together a team?
Could we hook up, like, an iPad to the projector and then he could be,
Yes.
like, tapping stuff?
Yeah, so that's to use the projector. I'll have to have the camera out there anyway, so we can move all this stuff out there. We got to move it tonight so we can finish this damn floor finally. So
And also, by the way, just because we wanted to talk about this at some point, Trump is in a very good spot right now. Now, still act like you're 10 points down, but Trump is in an exceedingly good spot.
I did see that as Polymarket. Is that what you're talking about? Polymarket?
Well, no, it's not. The betting markets are show where the trends go. If you look at the actual polls,
Oh,
Trump-
buddy, you got it all backwards. Polls don't mean anything
Fight!
compared to actual money on the line.
What are you? Are you
If
a
you,
no?
believe it, if you believe it so
have
much,
I
then-
converted you?
No, if he believes it so
What's
much,
what am I hearing?
Listen. I'm about to tell you. If he believes his polls so much, then he should put money where his
No,
mouth
I
is
don't.
and go bet on it.
I don't believe in polls. First off, I don't bet either. I don't gamble. If you
I'm
gamble,
saying
that's
the
not
betting
that's
market is
masculine.
much more reliable
Gambling
than
is
polls.
degenerate.
The betting market shows
Yeah,
the overall
exactly.
trend. The
What's your
polls,
point?
If you adjust the polls, which, by the way, there's math to adjust for many of the trash polls,
But
like
you're
morning
still basing
consult.
your argument off the polls.
Well, yeah, because that's the most.
No, it's the betting
that's
markets.
the people on the ground.
No, it's the people putting money down on the
Okay.
line.
Well, the people putting money down are mostly just people putting $5 on the line because
Yeah,
bar.
that's
you know,
probably all
bar
they
thing.
got. But they think Trump's going to win.
Okay, well, yeah, obviously.
All my friends.
anyone.
Oh, I
anyone
don't
can
think
see
any of
Trump's
my
going
friends
to
have
win
ever
right
bet
now.
more than $2 on a freaking bet. But
I
like,
have
that's going to be the one that changed their
$700
life.
million on Kamala Harris.
Oh, that's why
Probably a
she's
smart
still above
bet.
40.
Shadow campaign.
The shadow bet. I mean, if you fake polls, would you not also fake bets to swing opinion and everything like that?
Oh, I mean, yeah, they do it all the time. There's
I'm kind of
polls,
mostly,
there's-
honestly, Michael, no, I'm mostly with Mihai on this one. I mean, when skin is in the game,
I was about to say, if you're about
Usually-
to now attack
Well, no.
betting,
but
I'm on your guys' side. It's
no,
not
no,
like
no.
I
I just mean
disagree.
polls versus bets. Which one are a more reliable indicator? But that being said, to take your side now, is to say that if they put money into fake polls and making fake polls to sway opinion, then I wouldn't put it past them to make fake $5 bets on Kamala to sway opinion. You know what I mean? It can go. It's not. I guess that's the question: is how much money has really been bet? And I actually somewhat know the answer to that.
On
it's a lot.
Polymark,
I tried to argue for the sake of polls last time I was here, and he totally converted me. And
Well,
but when it comes
you
to,
have to
when it
you
comes
have
to
to
betting
take
versus
all of
polls,
these
I will
thi-
always go betting.
You have to take all these things on top of each other. You can't just do one thing
Isn't
by
it
itself.
beautiful?
And even, well, you aren't
fair.
showing the most recent bump. You're actually showing Trump down right now.
I-
There you go.
You got to give me a second to adjust my screen size, dog. Come on. Oh wait, I got to keep it in perspective though. There we go.
It's huge. The joy is gone.
This was what threw me. Where's it at the top there?
The joy is
How
gone.
much money does that say right here? 1 billion.
1.9 billion.
It's pretty much.
That's as much as Spider-Man: No Way Home made. By the way, the 5th highest grossing movie ever.
You're
I
gonna
think.
regret. You shouldn't flex with Spider-Man information.
Is that more than Joker 2 made?
How Joker?
Joker
made
2
like literally nothing.
Joker 2 isn't going to make $200 million. That's worse than The Flash.
Trying to get
Worse
this
than
damn thing in the
Morbius.
screen. Sorry.
It's worse than
There we go.
Morbius.
Yeah, like it's worse than all of it.
I had a feeling that I'd get him going.
This is good. This is what we need to do. I said after the last one, we got to fight more. But this is legit on Polymarket. Trump is now at Jesus. Yeah, let me scroll down. 57.6 to 42.
He was above 58 earlier, but
I
now they're
still
doing
listen
a
to Total
dead
Win to
cat
get
bounce.
my mind right from Chevron 216 with a $2 donation.
It is a great song over on YouTube, Chevron 216. Okay, I'm starting to learn how I can use these
I thought it
chats
was Total
separately.
Win.
Lord of the Ree. Hold on.
An
I
underappreciated
see you.
song.
I see you there.
And an underappreciated song is Gloria, by Laura, what's her face, the one that Trump uses in his rallies. That's a good song.
What song? Wait, what song?
Gloria by what's her name, Laura Bedingfield or something
I
like
know
that.
what song you're talking about, but I have no idea who sings it.
Should we take a quick listen here real quick? Hold on.
It's a nice mustache.
Across the country are
Laura
5 times
Brannigan?
higher than this time.
Now we still got 8 minutes.
Oh no, Laura Branigan is.
Yes,
that who it is?
Laura Branigan.
Still got
Excellent
8
song.
minutes. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail such a good fight that we had going. If you're just joining tonight, we will be spontaneously getting blacked out drunk, or at least I will, because we're watching Pennsylvania Senate candidates, Bob Casey, Democrat, boo. Dave McCormick, Republican. Slightly above that. Did anybody know anybody in the McCormick campaign?
Yes.
Can you tell
Yes,
them to use some
unfortunately.
cool ass memes and Pepes and shit? Like, what's going on here?
The person I know worked for. Actually, should I?
I think
Don't-
don't say his
don't.
name. But
Protect
I think I
yourselves.
know who you're talking
Protect
about.
yourselves.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
All right,
say
so
it.
don't
I'm not
say
gonna
it.
I'm not
Don't
gonna
say it.
No, I mean, I don't. Nobody follows this. Everybody's so focused on Trump and Kamala, so we don't know a whole ton. But
Remember, this is China Dave. He has connections.
he's gonna send.
But do say it wasn't someone in China that they work for now.
Yeah, there's a.
No,
It
no,
was-
no.
Yeah, we.
oh
talked-
God, people. So it starts at 7. It starts
Yeah.
in about 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
we're almost there. We're just shooting the shit until then. If you have a beer, have a drink. If you do other harder drugs, take a couple hits, injections, needles, whatever it is.
Do you have any tourniquets here?
Tourniquets.
I just need to borrow one real quick.
I need a strip of rubber and a syringe and a spoon and a lighter.
It was on the screen briefly, but there were 2 pandas that were shipped over to Washington D.C. Those.
I'm sorry, what?
We got pandas
Those
back?
pandas are going to assassinate you if you give out that guy's
Wait,
name.
they get,
I don't believe pandas are a real animal. I just
wait.
need to get. Nope, I'm going right to myself. I need to say this. I need to take over the discussion briefly. Pandas are not real. It's like that woman on the plane, the meme. That motherfucker's not real.
You are not real.
That's me around pandas. When I go to a zoo, I'm like, that motherfucker is not real.
Yeah, well, John, a month ago it was revealed that
The dog.
there are 2 dogs that are painted to look like pandas.
What did that woman ever see? Did
She saw a fucking panda. I just told you. I don't know. She was having some kind of mental
She
health.
was the original Hawktua girl.
No,
For a
she
bit.
saw the ghost of Jeffrey Epstein coming
Saw
back.
the get.
Well,
That,
she
that
saw-
is real.
What if it's
She would have been like, that motherfucker's real.
Yeah, she saw she saw Jeffrey Epstein coming back and Hillary coming to kill him.
What if it was a lizard person though?
I think Alex Epstein interviewed her, but I don't know if she explained what she saw exactly.
You know what I'm just noticing, and this is incredibly important, and what it's incredibly germane to the discussion, is that these mountains on this Coors Light can are not blue.
They're not.
And that's hurting me
What do you
inside,
mean? Jacks are.
quite literally. Well, I must run hot in my hand or something.
Well,
Anyway, can we finish our debate real quick?
yes, finish it.
Polymark Polymark and polls by themselves can't be taken in any direction. You have to count. You have to add registrations on top of that, which are also doing well for us. Who's voting early and how many percentages compared to last elections, which are going well for us. The only thing going well for the Democrats right now is they are still gaining a firewall, but that was not unexpected unless you go out and vote early. All of you go vote early, by the way. That's the big thing. As long as the firewall can stay below 1 million votes in Pennsylvania and some of these other swing states, we got it.
What about all this shit going on with foreign people sending in ballots? And I've only briefly glanced.
That's not real. All the things about these illegals voting stuff, at least in Pennsylvania,
that motherfucker's not real.
I can assure you that motherfucker is not real. I can assure you. This election is not going to be without its own issues, but I do not think there's going to be as many as 2020. And you can hold me to that. If something goes stupid on election night, I'll be the first one to tell you.
Coors Light, non-blue mountains are sad mountains, says Moonchild, a very old great friend, moderator in the Gilded. Let me just do a little quick plug on that front too, because I've kept so many people on the Gilded waiting, and then we're pretty much there. 6:57. The 3CC, we're aiming to do a group live show on Sunday, and I'm doing test calls from the studio every day this week. I've got, I think, 4 people in so far. If you've already done one way back in, what was that, June or July or something, Jesus. But feel free to join another one. When I'm talking about the guild, it should be in the description of this video. It's kind of like Discord, but not all FBI agents is why we switched over to Gilded. But anytime between now and Friday, if you want to hop in there, if you want to be on screen on a group live stream show on Sunday on 3CC, hit me up. That's my plug.
Are you going to sing We Are the World?
Yes, but I will sing it in Swahili. No, songonya mama gaiti
You ever heard the
baba.
story?
That's
You
the
ever-
real words in
Yeah.
Swahili, by the way.
You ever heard the...
Do you know what those words mean? Oh, it's a lion, it's a lion, it's a lion. I'm not shit you not.
that makes sense.
That's the
That
fucking-
does make sense.
Ingonyama means lion in
You ever
Swahili.
heard the story of when Waylon Jennings was at the We Are the World, like the first one?
No.
So he was supposed to be a part of it, and he went to the first day, and he's in the back, and it's all on camera. It was part of the documentary. He's sitting there, and they're explaining. I forget it was like who, but I think it was like Paul McCartney or someone was next to him, and he's sitting there and goes like 15 minutes into the first like introduction, and he goes, "Well, ain't nobody ever heard a good old boy singing Swahili. I'm out of here." And he just walked out and never came back.
How many hours of your typical 24-hour day, Mihai, and I'm guessing it's like 23 and a half, do you spend watching Waylon Jennings videos?
I would put an over-under on 17 and a half.
That's some fascinating. So you were telling me about the Mike Judge Tales from the Tour Bus.
That, and I like
that
I
was
like
such
to
a
go
great-
back and watch like all like the old like Austin City Limits like tapes that are still out there from like the 70s.
Yeah, that was such a good show. It's a crime that it only lasted 2 seasons.
All right, we have like 2 minutes. Let's get some
is a
final
crime.
chats,
Well, I mean,
final thoughts, final predictions. I'm predicting it's going for McCormick.
Bob Casey will be boring. McCormick will be annoying, but slightly better than.
How
Casey.
long until
no, how
You
it's
got
going to
you
go.
got a Waylon Jennings fan in the chat.
How it's going to go is the same as last
Waylon is
debate.
badass.
Casey's going to look like atrocious, like he's literally on his deathbed. McCormick is going to do whatever he's going to do.
BobCasey.com.
Yeah, that.
BobCaseyLife.com.
And then at the end of the debate, sure, just like with Dr. Oz, the optics look like they're on McCormick's side, but does he gain any voters? I'm not sure. Like, Casey has name recognition is the problem, and McCormick has to fight through that. He has to have a stellar debate performance. Like
Kim Richards.
Like better than what Carrie Lake just did, and that's saving her campaign in Arizona because she's having not a great campaign this time around. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Sorry, no, I'm pulling up some chats here since I finally figured out how to highlight them. All right, are we there yet? No, the Tampa Zoo's reopening. That's apparently what's important at this moment. It's 7 o'clock.
Why are they playing that on a PA?
Because that
local news
motherfucker
station?
wasn't real.
Here we go.
Now
Hold
standing
on.
by for Action News at 6.
Now for Maggie Kent, meteorologist Adam Joseph, Cecily Tynan, Deuces Rogers, Elise Vitarelli, Shari Williams.
All right, so
Whoa.
Say.
He speaks so fast. What was he saying there?
We'll see you later tonight.
Good night.
He talks like the Monopoly man. Did you hear that?
running a damn auction. This is intense. So let me just drop the volume here. We have a general rule of thumb, Michael, and anybody that's forgotten. We try not to talk over the debate as best we can. Although that being said, it's a fair point I think Mihai brought up, which is if you want to watch a debate with no commentary and fucks and shits and drunken people, you can go over to...
ABC 23.
No, you can. It's like 6B. You know what? If you can find it, you deserve it. But you're going to have to watch this one otherwise. So we will do our best. We'll try to stay out of it. This is the Bob Casey, Dave McCormick debate here starting after these commercials. I'll turn the volume up when that
I
happens.
think it probably would have been a bit.
Oh, no.
Oh. I think it probably would have been a bit easier to find this if.
No.
It took me so long to find it. Oh, here we go. Hold on.
Oh, there we go. Maybe. Yes.
Am I using the wrong?
No.
I think that might have been on them.
Here we go. Here we go.
2024. Your voice, your
All right.
vote. Tonight's debate
Do
is
I need to
brought you
get this
by
exactly to the
6ABC
maximum
in
size here?
partnership With Univision 65.
I think it's fine
Live
as
from
is.
6
No, it's not.
ABC
You're fine.
studios.
Yeah,
Our
just keep
candidates
it.
In
Just-
alphabetical
Oh,
order.
it's bothering me now.
Democrat Bob Casey.
Good enough.
Oh, he looks
and
alive
Republican
tonight.
Dave McCormick.
Oh, that was abrupt. Let's turn this jungle music off.
Our moderators for this evening. Univision anchor Ilya Garcia.
There's so many more
And
now.
6 ABC anchors Shari Williams. and Matt O'Donnell.
Got 3 moderators for 2 guys.
Good evening and welcome to this debate between the Democratic and Republican candidates for Pennsylvania's U.S. Senate seat. I'm Matt O'Donnell. Incumbent Senator Bob Casey is seeking his for Pennsylvania's U.S. Senate seat. I'm Matt O'Donnell. Incumbent Senator Bob Casey is seeking his 4th term. He is being challenged by combat veteran and former CEO Dave McCormick.
And I'm Shari Williams. Pennsylvania's one of 34 Senate seats that will be
want
decided
McCormick.
in this November's election. This race
This
is
is
one of
also
a
true.
handful in the country, which could ultimately determine the balance of power in the chamber. Over the next hour,
won't.
the
We're gonna have
candidates will be
52
answering
regardless.
questions posed by myself,
Why is there a
Matt, and
Telemundo
our co-moderator,
person there?
Ilya Garcia from Univision 65.
Great to be with both of you. Now, under the
don't let her
debate
talk,
rules,
though.
each candidate will get a question and 1 minute to answer, followed by a round of rebuttals. By prior draw, the first question will go to Senator Casey, so let us begin with the economy. Senator Casey, you claim corporations caused inflation by engaging in greedflation and shrinkflation, but prices are high everywhere. When you buy gas, when you go to put in a bid for a townhouse, when you go to buy bananas. How likely is it that companies across a variety of industries all conspire to make things more expensive for everyone? And what other factors may have been involved in causing inflation?
Well, Matt, thank you, and I want to thank all those who are here in 6ABC for hosting this debate. Look, across the country, especially in the last several years, prices have been way up. The cost of food, the cost of household items have skyrocketed. You have corporations in the 2-year period from the middle of 2020 to the middle of 2022, corporate profits going up 75%, 5 times the rate of inflation. So corporations were engaged in price gouging, taking advantage of the pandemic and the inflationary pressures. And I think we should do something about it. We should point it out like I have, issued reports on it. Secondly, we should pass price gouging legislation to hold companies accountable. And thirdly, we should roll back those big corporate tax breaks they got a couple years ago. The difference in this race is I want to go after price gouging. My opponent won't do it. He doesn't think we should do anything about price gouging. In fact, he excuses big corporations ripping off families. I think we should hold them accountable.
I'd like to hear about other causes, but let me ask you a question, Mr. McCormick. Staying on the economy, of course. You believe excessive federal spending under the Biden administration is the main driver of inflation. The Trump administration set a record in 2020 for having the largest budget deficit in American history at $3.132 trillion. How much responsibility does former President Trump have when it comes to these higher prices?
Well, thank you to 6ABC, and thank you for your moderating the debate tonight. Listen, this is a very clear and stark choice. Senator Casey, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris said that all this $5 trillion of new spending would not drive inflation. Larry Summers, a Democrat economist that served as Obama's Treasury Secretary, said, no, if you spend $5 trillion, which is what they spent, of new money, it's going to drive up prices. That, plus a war on fossil fuels, has driven up fuel prices. So groceries are up 22%, rent 22%, electricity 35%, fuel 50% under the Biden-Harris-Casey plan. So I'm not saying that there isn't some company that could be potentially be price gouging. The problem is that this is caused by bad policy. And Senator Casey has been a 99% vote for all these excessive spending policies. And the one thing we learned in the Army, day one, is you got to take responsibility for your actions. He's not taking responsibility for his actions. These votes were obviously going to drive this inflation problem. It's killing working families, and we need to change.
You talk a lot about price gouging. What about other causes, Senator Casey?
They were both right.
Matt, there's no question that when you have the kind of skyrocketing prices, again, corporate profits up 75%, there are a number of causes. But the Federal Reserve told us in that time period from the middle of 20 to the middle of 2022, corporate profits caused 41% of all the inflation in America. I think we should do something about that. Hold them accountable. We should also help families provide a middle-class tax cut, not a tax cut for big corporations and billionaires, and we should help families with a child tax credit to offset those costs that families incur.
Mr. McCormick, you know that there's a lot of lag time when it comes to the economy. So the culpability of the Trump administration and the huge budget deficits.
Well, the difference between what President Trump did and what Biden and Harris did is they think that the government is better spending your money than you are. The tax cuts give middle-class families, a family of $50,000, $2,500 in tax breaks. So what Senator Casey wants to do when he says he wants to get rid of the Trump tax cuts, he wants to raise taxes on working families in Pennsylvania. On top of that, he's supporting lifting the SALT tax gap, which essentially gives tax breaks to rich people in California and rich people in New York. So that's the kind of policy that they're advocating, which is going to take our country over the cliff. It already is. We're in dire fiscal
Senator Casey,
situation.
you want a rebuttal?
I get 20 seconds?
20 seconds, yes.
20 seconds. Look, the difference between us in this race is he wants to double down on that huge corporate tax break from 2017. He wants to give the billionaires, the people making hundreds of millions, and the big corporations another big tax cut. That tax cut for the most powerful companies in the world is going to add up to more than $4 trillion. It'll explode
How do you know
the debt.
that?
It makes no sense to do that. We should give the middle class a tax cut.
Say two things. First of all,
CaseyLives.com.
$5 trillion of new spending under
Here
Biden,
comes.
Harris, Casey.
Yeah.
$2
Here we
trillion
go.
more of new spending under Kamala Harris under her new proposals. But you know what else they want to do? They want to have Venezuelan-like price controls. This legislation, what it's saying is the government should decide. This is socialism. This has been tried in America, in Venezuela, around the world. Socialist price controls don't work. They're going to destroy our economy. They don't understand the economy.
Socialism only works as a
Gentlemen, to the next
buzzword for
topic, and this
Hispanics.
is
There's not
the
enough in
issue of
Pennsylvania to do
reproductive
that.
rights. Mr. McCormick, we
He
will
should lean
begin
into
with
that
you.
more. If he's this
You
hedge
called the
fund
overturning
genius,
of
he
Roe
should be like,
v.
well, I'm
Wade
way
a
better at
huge
economy than he
victory
is
for the
because I had
protection
that
of
job.
life.
No,
That was a
You've
decent
also
answer
stated
from
that
McCormick. I'll give him
decisions
that
on
one. It was a
abortion
good answer.
should be left to the states,
Here's
allowing
an
each to
abortion
set its
question.
own laws. A woman is a woman no matter where she lives. So what is your reasoning for supporting a system
has to give a
where a
strong answer
woman's
on this.
access to abortion is dependent on her state of residence?
Well, this is obviously a very
A
polarizing
woman is not
issue.
a
I'm a
woman no
father
matter
of
where
6
she
daughters,
is. That's a lie.
And I believe that
I
it's
didn't
so
say it.
polarizing that courts shouldn't decide, judges shouldn't decide, people should decide. And there's very different views across states. So I believe it's a states' rights issue. Pennsylvania has a law. Republicans and Democrats alike have supported it. It was signed into law by Senator Casey's father, Governor Casey. I also support the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. And I would not support any national legislation or any national ban. And Senator Casey's the extremist on this. Senator Casey has voted for legislation that allows abortion up to the end of the 3rd trimester and federal funding for it. I think that the people should decide this. It's a very tough issue. We should talk about other aspects of reproductive rights. I also think that the government should get very involved in helping families have children with fertility treatment and IVF. I've taken a real leadership role in that. As a CEO, I gave every employee IVF treatment. The company reimbursed them 100%. I think the government should give a $15,000 tax credit for IVF. So we need to talk more expansively about reproductive rights, and I think the people respectfully need to decide.
My question for that and a follow-up, a woman in Ohio, is she any different from a woman in Pennsylvania, leaving it to the states?
Yeah, well,
Yes,
I think when you say
because
states, you
that
mean
was the original
that's
intent of the
ridiculous
federal
comment.
government. That
People
was so
get to elect
stupid.
officials
What was
that
that
represent their
comment?
views.
You don't
can't
understand
have it both ways.
America
You can't say
clearly,
that
so
we
don't
wanna
do
have it
this
be a states'
job.
rights, and then when the state does something you don't like, it's not your personal beliefs. So I do think the people should decide, and that's what's happened in Pennsylvania. I think that Pennsylvania's got a law that people believe in, support, and I support that as well.
Mr. McCormick, thank
Thank you.
Senator Casey, you've described yourself as a pro-life Democrat for many years, but more recently, you've taken a stronger stance in favor of abortion rights,
never mind. I was
particularly
never that.
after the Dobbs decision.
No.
Can you explain to voters what prompted the shift in your stance?
All the abortion amendments
Sherry,
passing
in
by 40 to
2022,
60 to
the
40.
Supreme Court overturned a 49-year right in the Dobbs case. When they overturned that right, that was overturning Roe v. Wade. And we had a very clear choice at that moment. Whether you're a citizen or a member of the United States Senate or a legislator of any kind, you had to make a decision. Do you want those rights restored or not? It's ban abortion or not ban abortion. That was the choice before the country. And I voted at that moment to restore those rights through the Women's Health Protection Act. When that decision was handed down by the Supreme Court, Mr. McCormick said that decision made him, quote, very, very happy. And his views and his position is in furtherance of what he said. He does not support restoring Roe. He doesn't support the vehicle to do that, the only vehicle right now, which is the Women's Health Protection Act. And it's a big difference in this race. The other thing I would also add is that he doesn't support the IVF bill before the Senate or the bill to make sure we can we have the opportunity to have birth control as a right.
You're going to hear a lot of career politician talk tonight. This is the perfect example. There is no senator in the United States Senate who has flip-flopped more on this issue than Senator Casey. Senator Casey, previously as a senator, said that he wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade. Senator Casey said that there should be only one exception.
RFK is running in Senate now,
Senator
guys.
Casey was one of the most pro-life senators in the Senate. And he has now moved his position, flip-flopped his position. I don't know how when someone flip-flops on this position if they held it so strongly then and don't hold it now. So there's no one who has less credibility on this issue than Senator Casey, and he's essentially going where the wind goes. He's been weak on this and so many issues where his party has shifted to the left. He has shifted with them, and you're going to hear that as a theme tonight.
Senator Casey, would you like a rebuttal?
Yes, Sherry, I think most Americans believe that our daughters shouldn't have fewer rights than their mothers or their grandmothers. And we're at a point now where the country is going to make a choice.
What would happen if
in
their
terms of
grandmother
this
had an
Senate
abortion?
race, in terms of control of the Senate?
Women don't have less rights.
And that will largely determine
that is a lie.
whether or not those rights are restored or not. I've already voted twice to restore those rights. My opponent won't support that.
Like abortion laws here are the same as they were before.
We have to turn now to the issue of immigration. The first question will be for you,
Telemundo.
Senator Casey. Senator Casey, the last comprehensive immigration reform was
Why do we
enacted
have someone
almost
who
4
cannot
decades
speak?
ago.
Why do we have someone who cannot
As a
speak
journalist who serves the
English
Hispanic community in
on a
our
debate?
area, I get
We
to hear
need
some of
people
the
who speak
community's
English.
frustrations.
Hey, man, that's
regarding
Ilya
immigration
Garcia.
Reform. Some
I just
feel
know that 'cause
the
her name's on
issue
the
is just
screen.
a political football that is only given attention to during election time to court the Latino vote. What action steps or legislative measures would you take to ensure Congress gets closer to passing an immigration reform bill this time?
Yeah, Ilya, the first thing we should do, and I hope we could do it before.
I wish Bob Casey was talking in an accent
Probably
right now.
See, the thing is, I think Casey actually won the abortion question. He had a good hit there. The problem is he just speaks so slow, like Eeyore.
I think that it's possible that in a new year, a new Congress, that we can get Republicans to work with us on this because most of them already agreed to support it, or a lot of them did at least. And I've already voted for that bill twice. The reason I say that is because border security is critically important, number one. We have to secure our border. That means hiring more Border Patrol. That means investing a lot more in the technology that will stop fentanyl at the border. And that means giving the president new authority to shut down the border and reduce the number of people coming across our border, fixing our asylum system. I think if we do that, it not only will help us secure the border, but it will also give credibility back to get to other reforms. My opponent opposes that bill for only one reason. The leader of his party told him he couldn't support it for political reasons. He should stand up, show some guts, oppose the leader of his party, and support this bill.
Mr. McCormick, we are seeing an alarming rise on anti-immigrant rhetoric with President Trump demonizing migrants while immigration policy proposals stall in Congress. Latino activists and political leaders worry that increasingly inflammatory and racist rhetoric about immigrants is fueling a surge in the already record-breaking number of hate crimes against Latinos.
Why is she
here? If you were elected, what would you do specifically to protect
her 2 tries.
Specifically.
Well, I'm married to an immigrant, so I'm certainly very pro-legal immigrant. We are a country of immigrants. We're also a country of laws.
That's such a lie, Dave. Why did you say that?
Boo. Election year epiphany.
America is a
who
nation
comes up every 6 months before every election. I mean,
murdering
under
assholes.
3.5 years
Pretty
of the
much,
Biden
honestly.
administration, there was nothing done on the border.
That is
It was
such a
an
lie that we're a
absolute
nation of
disaster.
immigrants.
We are a nation of colonists. Let's
Met
get that
people
right.
on the terrorist watch
We're a
list.
nation of
The
people
fentanyl
who
crisis
were
has grown. I've got,
more successful at
Sheriff
war
Hobb
than the
here is a
people who were
good
here.
friend of mine who lost a son to the wide open
You know where I
borders
stand on this
that
one.
resulted under
I'm also-
the weakness
You hate
and the
immigrants
failure
more than
of
anyone.
Casey, Biden and Harris.
My family's also been
And,
here since the
this fentanyl crisis
1600s, so I
is
consider
going
myself
absolutely crazy.
American.
We've got to
so.
secure the border. Senator Casey just did a commercial
I
where
just
he was
can't
standing in
understand.
front of the wall, the very
Garcia.
wall that he derided and said we didn't need a wall when President Trump came into office. That's absolute chutzpah. That is a career politician in action.
There's
we
the
need to secure
Polish.
the border. We need to go after the cartels with military. We need to treat them as the terrorist threat they are. And of course, we need to embrace the fact that we're a country of immigrants We can't tolerate hate, but we also can't tolerate a wide open border that's
does hate
damaging the
mean?
security of Americans.
What does hate
Who is he trying to like convince with that
Let's move on
statement?
to-
No one, because he's
like a rebuttal.
not running
Sorry, go ahead.
he's not associating
Number one
himself
is you
with
didn't hear
Trump.
any
That's his biggest
response
problem.
to your question about the language that some have used. The worst thing we can do is
Sorry, Bob.
have politicians spend time demonizing
That's
immigrants.
us.
We got to solve this problem. The beginning of solving this problem is passing that bipartisan bill. The big difference in this race is not just that I
He
voted
still
twice
looks like he
for
had a
this bill,
seizure. Like
and
half his
he's
mouth does
opposed
not
to it,
move.
and the reason he's opposed because the leader of his party, but he's also the candidate in this race when he was a hedge fund CEO who invested millions of dollars in the largest producer of fentanyl in China.
Thank you, Senator
And Chinese
Casey.
fentanyl's come to our
Would
country.
you like to respond?
Listen, we have a wide open border that lays at their feet. He doesn't address that. The border bill that was proposed was an amnesty bill. It wasn't a border bill. It didn't truly secure the border. He's voted against a border wall. He's voted for sanctuary cities. They are trying to change the conversation because they have failed to secure our border. In terms of hate crimes, if the senator is so worried about spewing of hatred, then he should unendorse Summer Lee, who is not anti-immigrant hate, it's anti-Semitism. And so Bob Casey is standing up there saying he's the moral voice. This isn't a moral voice. This is a guy who hasn't had the courage to stand up against his own party.
I
and
found
an
the
avowed
taco
anti-Semite.
emoji.
Thank you.
Do I get 20 seconds?
Yes. Yes.
20 seconds. I'll go back to your question. What do we do about border security and immigration more broadly? The bill that I've voted for twice now, bipartisan bill, the strongest, toughest border bill in 25 years, is endorsed by the Border Patrol Union, which actually just endorsed President Trump recently. So they're not a Democratic organization. They support that bill. He doesn't.
You have 20
Yeah.
seconds.
All I will say is if you look at that border bill, which I have done, I've made up my own mind, unlike Senator Casey, who's a 99% vote. If you look at that border bill, it is the most liberal border bill in the world of any industrialized country. It would allow up to 5,000 applications per day. This is millions of people coming into the economy. It's completely subverting what's intended by asylum, and it would risk our security. I made my own decision.
It doesn't address the underlying
Gentlemen,
problems
we'd like to
either.
talk about
If
bipartisanship
we can't solve our
and
own
civility
issues
in
at home,
politics.
how
Mr.
can we
McCormick,
solve a
you
million
seek to
more
become a member
people's
of the
issues every single year that
2025
pour into
freshman
this
class in
nation?
Washington. To many voters, the newer congressional members seem more interested in gaining new social media followers and more cable TV appearances and less interested in
Matt
passing
Gaetz.
bills and speaking to colleagues on the other side.
I'm still loving these
How, as
triple
a new
moderators
senator,
for
might you be
two
different?
debaters.
Here's the America I know. As a platoon leader in the 82nd Airborne Division, in my platoon, I had
Did you
a
lead
young
that
man
platoon,
from
Dave?
Alabama. I had an African-American man from North.
Did you
I had
have a
platoon
black
sergeant
friend?
from Puerto Rico who
That
was
is as
35
bad
and
as
seemed
I
ancient at the
came
time.
from a
I never remember
middle-class
talking
family.
about
He's so
religion.
fucking
I never
rich, he
remember
doesn't
talking
even know
about
how to
politics
talk
or
like a
party.
normal
We were
person.
just Americans.
That's the problem.
In
It's the
search
same thing
of
as
protecting
Dr.
one another and
Oz.
protecting our great country. That's my spirit. That's how I come into this.
Sean
I'm a
Parnell,
problem
we need
solver.
you to
I
run
wanna
for
solve problems.
Senate
I'm a
again.
conservative. If you go to
PA
my
needs
website,
you.
more than any other candidate in the country, certainly more than Senator Casey, you will see what I'm for, what I believe in. But as a CEO and as a leader, you've got to find ways to compromise to get things done. I'm someone who will get things done. Senator Casey, in 18 years in the Senate, 30 years in elected office, does not have a record he can run on, which is why he's devoted himself to attacking me. So if you want to talk about civility, we got to get through this election, get a new senator in Pennsylvania that can actually work across the aisle and get things done. Senator Casey has not proven himself to be such a senator.
Senator Casey, you hear this. Americans say time and time again they are fed up with the incivility, the lack of bipartisanship in Washington. What have you done in your first 3 terms to take the temperature down and cross the line and work with Republicans?
Quickly, Rumble's dead,
Nobody
so
gets
I'm
something done in
ending
the United
Rumble.
States Senate, you have to
YouTube,
work in a
Pilled, and
bipartisan
X.
way.
Check it
That's
out.
what I've done. In the period of the last Congress, 21 and 22, I wrote and passed more bills than almost anybody in the whole Senate.
Can we
Part
get a
of that
fact
work
check on
stretches
that,
not
please?
just through this recent time period, but going back even further. Women on college campuses are safer today from sexual assault because of my bill that I passed. Children who have a disability.
Because you
and
graduated.
families are permitted now under the tax law to save for that disability in a tax-advantaged way, just like you save for college.
I'm not going to
because of
lie,
my
even though
legislation.
McCormick's
Because of my
giving
work,
weak
we
answers,
invested
he's
in
doing
infrastructure
better,
in Pennsylvania
significantly
like we've never
better
done
this
before.
time.
Kinda
In
with
the
you.
rural areas of
Kinda with you.
Pennsylvania, small rural counties, frankly, Republican counties, like Fulton County
like
and
Dr.
Bedford
Oz,
County,
which
among
is
the most
what you need
Republican
to.
counties
He's sounding
in the
less
state,
whiny
have investments in their schools.
I think people
about
told him to
17 or
stop
18 million
saying
just in those two counties.
CaseyLies.com, 'cause he's
Investments
not
in
saying
high-speed
it
internet
anymore.
so kids can learn more and earn more when they get older. I've got a strong bipartisan
Mr. McCormick, you
record.
get a chance to rebuttal.
Listen, Senator Casey famously on the debate stage with Rick Santorum said, listen, anytime you have two politicians that vote 99% of the time the same way, you need to get rid of one. He was speaking of Senator Santorum and George Bush. This senator votes 98.6% of the time with Biden-Harris. He is not an independent voice. With all his talk about moral courage and being independent, he has voted in lockstep with his liberal party to defund the police, to not secure the border, to support biological men competing in women's sports. This is a guy who's gone off track with the values
Senator
of Pennsylvania.
Casey.
These are not Pennsylvania values or policies, and they've hurt our great Commonwealth.
Look, a lot of the work that I did on the infrastructure bill is helping every one of our 67 counties, including here in Philly. That bill
Our
was bipartisan.
infrastructure
He
is
wants to
so
repeal
bad
it.
right now.
When
If I go up to my camp,
vote to make sure that we had
the
a cap on insulin
poles, like
and a
the
cap on
carrying the
out-of-pocket costs for
electricity, are
seniors,
like
their drug
this.
costs that'll go into
They're
effect in
parallel
January.
with the mountain that they're on.
829,000
It's all
Pennsylvanians will
falling
benefit
apart.
from that. He wants to repeal that
Bridges
bill
are bad, too.
that capped
Our
insulin and
infrastructure
capped
is
out-of-pocket costs.
terrible.
So who's more bipartisan? And when if he's going to talk about his record versus my record, his record as a hedge fund CEO investing in China and our adversaries. That's his record. Mine is bipartisan work in the Senate.
Bipartisan
Real quick,
is
20
just like
seconds.
the most meaningless
Let's say both of you
buzzword
were the
ever.
senators of Pennsylvania.
It really is.
How would you work
If
with
you have
each
like
other?
3
20 seconds each.
people from
Well,
the
we
opposing
have to
party
find common
join your
ground.
bill,
Right now, I don't
that's
see much with
magically
Senator Casey. I think
bipartisan.
he is increasingly, listen,
Stupid.
Bob Casey went to the Senate to change Washington. Washington changed Bob Casey. He is completely out of step with the values and views
That
of
was a good
Pennsylvanians.
line.
He's voted for a series of things that have made our Commonwealth much worse. So I think he needs to be replaced. And that's why I'm running, because I think career politicians like Bob Casey
like to
are
rebut
really
that,
hurting
Senator?
our great country.
I think there's plenty of things we could work together on. It should start with things that are bipartisan right now. The bipartisan border deal, supported by the Border Patrol Union. I don't know why he wouldn't support that. It doesn't make any sense. When he
The
knows
Border
that we
Patrol
could advance
Union
the
basically
ball
has an
based
obligation
upon
to
the
support
expertise
any
of those
bill
of
with
the Border
border
Patrol.
in its
But while
name.
I was doing that bipartisan work in Pennsylvania, he was investing in our adversaries, investing in China and investing in
Let's move
Russia.
on to the next topic.
I'd like
Next
to
topic,
respond to
please.
We're
I
going
gotta
to move now
respond to that.
to the rising tensions in the Middle East. And Senator Casey, we'll start this question with you, sir. The Middle East is on edge for a potential escalation in the region,
When
with
has it not been
Israel
on edge?
promising
It's
a
been on edge
retaliatory
forever.
attack on Iran
Yeah,
and Iran,
the Middle
now
East is
warning
Middle
the
East
U.S.
right
it
now.
too
It
will
hasn't
retaliate.
changed. Nothing ever
Researchers
happens
at
is
Harvard
real with the
estimate the
Middle
U.S. has provided nearly $18 billion to Israel since the festival attack October 7th, 2023. How do you believe the U.S. can continue to support Israel's right to self-defense while also addressing the humanitarian needs of Palestinian civilians and other civilians as this
Very
conflict
true.
spreads? You have a minute, sir.
Actually,
We have to
for
start with
a
October the
city
7th,
and a county
2023,
Pittsburgh size,
when a
it's actually
terrorist
relatively
organization,
on the
Hamas,
conservative
invaded
side.
Israel, murdered 1,200 innocent Israelis, and in addition to murdering all those Israelis, raped women and took hostages. That threat to the people of Israel
They're going to
has
fight
be
over who
defeated.
loves Israel more
It's
again.
Yep,
been
here we
badly
go.
undermined so far, but it is still a threat. Hezbollah is a threat to Israel. The Iranian regime is a threat to Israel. The Houthis, so many extremist organizations in that region. We've got to continue to support
So which
Israel's
one's more
efforts,
extreme,
not
Casey?
just
The
to
extremist
defend itself, but to
organization
take
here
the fight
or
to
them?
those terrorists.
Just step back and just remind yourself that they're talking about Israel in a debate for an American political
Big difference in
position.
this
We are
race is,
so bought
while I was
out.
doing
It's
that, supporting
insane.
Israel all these years, my opponent was running that hedge fund in Connecticut, the largest hedge fund in the world. I mentioned the investments in China and Russia. He also invested in a Chinese arms manufacturer.
Americans are
that
not
had ties to
evangelicals
Iran,
anymore.
and
Evangelicals
those
are the
weapons
last
that
people
they
who care
produced
about Israel.
made their way to
America,
Hamas.
broadly
I
speaking,
hope so.
wants to
Senator, the
decouple
portion
from
of this
Israel.
question
I hope
of
so.
also addressing the humanitarian
That doesn't mean we
needs
leave them
of
alone.
Palestinian
Just give them
civilians
less
and the other
money and
civilians.
stop giving
20
us
seconds, sir, on that
stop
follow-up, please.
giving them
you're
our
right, and I
people.
should have added that. We have to continue to support robust support for
He's
food
talking about
for
people,
in Gaza,
McCormick being in a
medicine,
pocket of
and medical supplies.
other interests,
Our
but
government's
who
done
wants to
the
bet that
Israelis have done it.
both of them took
We've
money
gotta
from
do
AIPAC?
more, so do the
Oh, they
Israelis,
have.
and so
For
do
sure.
the
Remember,
countries in the
everyone's
region.
taking money
I
from
wanna have
AIPAC
the
except
Arab
for
countries
Thomas
finally
Massey.
stand
And
up
Candace Owens
and help the
proved
people
that.
of Gaza instead of just
Yeah, and then his wife died.
at the United States and Israel.
Mr. McCormick, Same topic here. You said that the U.S. needs to show strength and provide Israel with what it needs to finish
Dave.
the job. President Joe Biden has warned
Come
Israel
on.
not to strike Iran's oil fields as it could lead to
Don't
further
do it.
unrest. Do you believe Israel needs to show restraint in its retaliation on Iran? And how do you address the tens of thousands of civilians who are also caught in the middle of this?
Let's let him talk. I want to hear it.
Has lied throughout this about my record. Go to BobCaseyLies.
There we go. There we go.
I just want to say, I'm not going to take any preaching. As a guy who went to West Point, went to Ranger School, was the honor graduate, went to the 82nd Airborne Division, went into Iraq in the first wave when they looked like there would be tens of thousands of casualties. I'm not going to take any preaching from a guy who spent 30 years in public office and hadn't got much done. So I'm not going to take any preaching from you, Bob Casey, on that. And your lies, which are completely unworthy of you and your family and your service.
Don't do it.
So listen, what's happening in the Middle East comes from weakness. And we are being tested from our adversaries around the world. President Biden should support Israel completely. Israel is in the fight for its life. It's being attacked by Hezbollah.
He was riding that good thin line until that line.
Yeah, I was hoping he was going to run out of time.
Is the Iran deal where Senator Casey was the deciding vote
You
in
know what the
2015.
smart answer is to
It
say
gave
that
them
none of them are
$100
smart
billion,
enough to say?
which they had used to underwrite terrorist proxies.
Israel is
That's
strong
the
enough
root
to
cause of
defend
this
herself.
problem,
Yep.
And that's what needs to be
Israel
addressed.
is
We need to
definitely strong enough
strangle
at this point to defend
Iran and its
themselves.
ability.
I'd vote for you.
Mr. McCormick, the question, if you could,
That wouldn't make
in regards
the
to
Israeli people mad.
Israel
Like, yeah,
showing
yeah, we are.
restraint.
No, I
Should
mean, it
show
would, but-
restraint in its response to
Knee high
Iran,
for Senate
especially in light
2028.
of the
Well,
thousands
no,
of civilians
2030,
who have
2030.
also been caught in this conflict.
Israel's in the best position to manage and make these trade-offs. America shouldn't preach to Israel. I went to Israel with my wife.
I thought he was
right
about to
after
say that for a
October
second.
7th in early January. We saw the IDF. We saw the care they're taking to reduce civilian casualties. You want to blame anybody for civilian deaths? Blame Hamas that's hiding in hospitals. Blame Hezbollah.
I'll actually agree with
that's
that part.
located
Yeah,
in
this part's
missiles
not bad.
right
They
around
actively
civilian populations
use
where
hostages.
people are gonna
Yeah,
be killed.
this part's
There's
not a
two
bad
sides of
response.
this story. There's one side of the story. There's pure evil that needs to be eradicated, and it's threatening Israel's very existence. We also need to fight anti-Semitism at home. Senator Casey's been a weak voice on this. This is a true front battle, and we need strength and moral clarity on both
You
fronts.
both get 30 seconds rebuttal. Senator Casey, your rebuttal
Hard to
first.
vote for that,
I agree
Dave.
with
To be
part
fair,
of the end of that answer
Dave,
about
to
this
be
should
fair,
Israel's
McCormick, he has to say
determination
that
about
because
its
of the
own
Tree of Life
security
shooting, which
interests and
killed
what
a bunch
Israel
of
has to
Jews
do
at a
to defend
synagogue
itself
in
from
Pittsburgh.
terrorism. But look, when Mr. McCormick
Okay.
said I was preaching, he's just preaching at me. He mentioned his service. It's commendable service to the people of our country. But this isn't a race about his service or what we were doing at that age in our life. It's about my work in the United States Senate and his work as a hedge fund CEO. And he doesn't like the fact that I talk about his record as a hedge fund CEO. When I talk about those dollars going
Casey,
from a
this time with
Chinese
the hedge
weapons
fund CEO
manufacturer
thing is as
through the
bad as
Iranians
the
into Hamas,
CaseyLies.com.
that's part of his record. That's what I'm putting on the table. I'm not preaching.
Mr.
I'm
McCormick,
stating a
you have
fact.
30 seconds to rebut, sir.
It's great to talk about records. So I ran a great investment firm. It invested around the world, as many investment firms do. It had exposure to China. All the investments that were made were approved by the U.S. government. But the richness of a career politician. Bob Casey,
Means
as the
one who's
treasurer
like
of
God.
Pennsylvania, approved using Bridgewater, which was the firm I worked with.
I like how he leaned into his Vivek Ramaswamy for just a millisecond and pulled right back
happening under
out.
Bob Casey as treasurer. Moreover, Bob Casey has invested $31 trillion as the treasurer in China Mobile,
It's a good
which had
comment.
close ties. He takes lobbying money from firms that are selling drones into the Chinese military PLA. So this is not a guy that actually has much credibility on China.
Senator Casey has a 20-second. You're asking for a 20-second rebuttal.
He said in 2023 that all the decisions that were made while he was CEO, he has responsibility for. And what he doesn't want to take ownership of or responsibility for are the decisions he made as a CEO to invest in China, to invest in the rise of China after we knew that China was causing a lot of job loss here in the United States. He invested in helped Vladimir Putin just before he invaded Ukraine. And finally, if he's going to talk about anti-Semitism, I have the leading bill in the United States Senate to combat anti-Semitism. Number one, you shouldn't laugh about that. Number two is he's the one who invested not hedge fund money, his own personal money, millions of his own personal money in a website that platforms hate Holocaust denial and anti-Semitism.
That's
his
What
line.
platform is that?
He's not naming it, so that should give you red
bill, which I
flags.
support.
Wait, what?
That was something
He's
we could
not
agree
naming
on.
it, so
He and
that should raise
Schumer
red
don't have the
flags.
courage to actually bring it to the floor for a vote because they don't want to alienate those radical people in their party that truly are anti-Semitic. Just like Summer Lee. Summer Lee, who's an
Not
avowed
anti-Semitic
Bob
to
Casey
be
just
like,
said
why
that
are
what her
you
statement
talking
was
about
wasn't a good
Israel so
statement,
much
but
in an
he actually
American
stands by his
debate?
endorsement.
So
this
Do they
is the
do
world
this
we're
shit in
where
Israel
you say
debates?
one
I
thing
mean,
as a career
maybe they
politician
do.
and your
I don't
actions are
know.
another.
No, they don't.
That's the problem with Bob Casey. That's why we
McCormick's
need
giving
to
a
get rid
better
of him. Thank you.
answer,
Get
but
20
he
seconds.
still
We're about
is
halfway through.
not
Thank
giving
you.
We're
a
going to take a
good
breath.
one.
And now we got to plow through. We have more topics for you.
We got to plow
We're gonna
through.
continue for this one, Mr. McCormick. It's about election
We're plowing,
integrity
boys.
and misinformation. Pennsylvania, as you know, has the third most
Oh, we're
people
talking about
arrested for the
Pennsylvania. Okay,
January 6th
finally. Holy
insurrection.
shit.
Many of them remain convinced the 2020 election was stolen, even though
It was.
This is going to be so good.
If
Let's
you
hear
could,
it.
What would you tell those Pennsylvanians who remain jailed for January 6 charges?
Well, listen, I had said that I thought President Biden won the 2020 election, and I had also said that those who, many, hundreds of thousands of people were peaceful protesters on January 6th, but those who conducted violence in our capital, I think, should be held accountable to the
You were so
the
close, and
rules
then
of
you went off
justice,
the cliff
just like
again.
those people destroying storefronts and public property and violence on the streets of Minneapolis should be prosecuted. I think that's what should
No
happen.
one
and our
committed
judicial
any
system
violence
should allow
that
for
day.
that.
They were let in the
in terms
Capitol
of election
building
integrity, listen,
by
I
the
think we got a real
police
problem in our
there.
country.
They're giving a tour.
In that Senator Casey and the Democrats in general don't support the most basic fundamental thing, which is voter ID. And that's something that I
that
fight
part's
for.
base.
Day one
Okay,
in the
yeah,
Senate.
come
we
on.
need to have voter,
Voter
you need to
ID.
have a
Let's
voter
go.
ID, an ID to get on an airplane. You need to have an ID to cash a check. The Democrats and Senator Casey thinks you don't need voter ID, and that would be the one way to give everybody confidence that our elections have high integrity.
Let me direct that question to you, Senator Casey. Given Mr. McCormick's position, and though the incidence of illegal voting is very small in elections, plenty of voters do remain concerned about election integrity. Given we already have ID requirements to drive a car, purchase alcohol, fly in an
I don't
airplane,
like how they give
why
these
shouldn't people
candidates
be
different
expected to
versions of
prove
the
they
same
are who they
question. It
are
needs
when
to
they
be the
vote?
same
Nothing wrong with that.
question
There's
per
nothing wrong
each
with that.
candidate.
A lot of those issues are determined state by state, and that's what the General Assembly here in Pennsylvania will debate. But what he left out of his answer are some of the people he hired. He's hired fake electors in his campaign. He hired fake electors to run a PAC, and he's been hanging around with insurrectionists. So he's never really condemned those
Okay, Casey's
who brought
giving an
about that
ass answer here.
awful insult to
Well,
the Constitution
is he
and to our
saying
country
that because he
on
associates
January
with
the
Trump,
6th, because he
he's
doesn't want to
pro-insurrection?
take them
I
on
guess.
and
Is that what
offend
he's
them.
saying?
We've got to make sure that that never, ever happens again. One of the ways we can do that is
let's hear
don't
it.
spread lies and conspiracies about the election. Tell the truth about what happened. Tell the truth and don't
We gotta
intimidate
censor. We have to
all
censor
these
everybody.
county
We have to get
election
on X and kill
workers. For the
Elon
first
Musk,
time in
guys.
American history, county election workers, these people who give their lives to count
First
votes
Amendment,
and do it
what's
with
that?
integrity.
Yeah, I don't know
They've had death threats, and they're under a
I'm
constant
Tim Walz.
threat
I don't know how to
because
load a
of
shotgun.
the conspiracy theories that he won't condemn.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. McCormick?
I don't know what he's talking about, but my views on this have been clear,
Lord of
from
the
2020
trees, he
on.
might be.
I've been a strong voice of moral clarity on all these issues. But I'm glad he raised the question of lying, because today was a great day in the sense that the Washington Post wrote an article about an ad that Senator Casey has just run, saying that I had said that I wanted to reduce Social Security and Medicare benefits, which was a 100% fabrication, as said by the Washington Post.
BobCaseyLies.com.
Bob Casey, in his own words, looks at the camera and says a complete and utter lie. So if you want to talk about honesty and truthfulness in politics,
we're getting
Senator
off
Casey, you
topic.
got a lot of work to do looking
We're
at
getting
your
off
ads, because
topic.
there's a
You
lot
can go
of
back
lies
to
in
the
them.
topic, or I'm sure
You
you'd like to
say it.
respond to Mr. McCormick, Senator Casey.
Do I have 20 seconds?
Oh my God! Stop
look,
asking.
Actually, you get 30.
I
think he gets 20 seconds
here.
here.
The campaign that we're in today started with this candidate, Mr. McCormick.
Apologies,
starting the
I
race,
wear glasses
lying
for
to
a
the people
reason.
of Pennsylvania
I can
about where he
barely
lives.
see your name.
How do you lie about where you live
Think about this.
when you're
Yeah.
running for an office where you
Lord
seek
of
to
the Reed.
represent
Ah,
the people of
there
our
we
state?
go.
He said he
My
was living
bad.
in Pennsylvania.
Sorry.
He wasn't.
He's
He was living in
over
Connecticut.
you.
The Associated Press wrote about it, August the 14th, 2023. He lied to the people about that. He also lied about how he grew up. He said at one point he was a farmer and that he grew up on a farm And then he started lying about other things in this campaign. But if this is a question about who's been telling a lie, how do you lie to the people about where you live?
Mr. McCormick, you get 20 seconds.
Duty on our country is what I learned at West Point, is how I've conducted my life. Senator Casey's lies are abundantly clear on CaseyLies.com, and they're fact-checked by PolitiFact and the Washington Post and Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He is running the dirtiest, most inaccurate campaign in modern history in Pennsylvania, and it's because because he doesn't have a track record to run on.
Senator Casey,
that's been
getting
his
off
campaign.
camera, McCormick.
Look, he's trying to, and we'll go back to his allegation
leaning
about
in there.
Social Security and Medicare.
He's edging the
trying
viewers.
to
He's
deny
leaning in there
that
like
he was
Tim
part of
Walz
an
did the whole entire
administration, the Bush
debate, going over
administration,
the thing.
that tried to foist upon the country private accounts, investing precious Social Security resources in the stock market, and having big Wall Street firms manage that money and make a lot of money off it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That's
Thank you
called
both.
privatization. He was for it.
Our next topic is border security. Both of you have touched on this, but let's get a direct question. Senator Casey, you're first. You are on record supporting the bipartisan border security bill, which called for more hiring of Border Patrol agents, also empowered administrations to be able to close the border.
It's just going to let more people in.
With persistent issues like drug trafficking, including the fentanyl, and record number of migrants seeking asylum.
She got kicked off.
What has
Yeah, did she
taken
get booted? Did she get
Democrats
deported?
so
She got
long
asked. She got to ask
prioritize
one
this issue?
question, and then she hasn't asked one since.
Well, I've been working on this issue for years. I started voting on legislation
What's going on
to
there?
direct more dollars to the detection
ghost.
of fentanyl.
Is it run? It might be running off battery.
Voted 25
It's
times.
it's
Yeah.
the ghosts of the Biden
Including
voters right
twice.
there.
There's a power cord for that thing somewhere.
The bill that I support is supported
yeah,
by
now
the
we have the
Border Patrol
Halloween
Union.
vibes going.
It would allow us to hire thousands.
You guys want that Hugh loop back now?
It would change the asylum rules,
No.
making that bar for seeking asylum a lot
Here,
higher.
I'll do this. Turn
a lot
those
fewer
lights
people
off.
would cross
Turn
the border
them
because
off.
of that.
I could do
and
the
that's
cop
why
card.
Republicans and Democrats supported it. It was on its way to passage until the leader of the Republican Party
Not
said,
saying anything
don't
new,
pass it
it's
because
just,
it'll help the other
do you
side
support the
politically.
bipartisan
and Mr.
bill,
McCormick fell
Borgo
right
or
in line
not?
with that, kind of like a lapdog lapping the shoes of the Republican nominee. We should pass that bill because it'll restore confidence in
right?
the American people that we can
It's off, right?
detect fentanyl at the border, mostly coming in through vehicles crossing our border, and it would also help us with more Border Patrol and a much tougher approach to the border.
Senator Casey, thank you. Mr. McCormick, Senate Republicans backed out of that bipartisan border security bill earlier this year, with Republicans often emphasizing the need for a stronger response at the border. How do you explain to voters the resistance to advancing legislation that addresses the very
Because
issue?
over
Well, as I said before,
70% of it wasn't
legislation. There was good
funding to
legislation,
that.
HR 2 in the House, that was strengthened our border. I've been to the border twice in the last couple of years. I've talked to the Border Patrol. Senator Casey, I've been there more times than Senator Casey and the borders are. And when you get there, you see that the wall stops under Biden, Harris, and Casey. People are walking across in the middle of the night. In my particular night that I was there at 2 in the morning, 5 military-age men from Syria and 5 Chinese nationals. This has become a national security crisis of epic proportion. 200 people last year on the terrorist watch list. We just saw recently with a memo leaked from ICE that 25,000 convicted murderers and convicted rapists were knowingly allowed in the country. This isn't speculation. This was in an official document from the Department of Homeland
And they're
Security.
calling themselves
That's all happened
refugees
under
when
his
they're
watch.
not
The
that at
bill
all.
that
They're
they
lying about being
proposed didn't
refugees.
address that. It would have sanctioned 2 million illegal immigrants coming into our country
I really
for asylum.
like this answer. This
and
is
we've
his
got
first
a major
good,
problem.
good
We need to go
answer.
after these cartels, treat them as the terrorist threat they are, use our military selectively. This has been like a frog in boiling water. Senator Casey has done that. He says he's been working on it for years. How effective has that work been?
I've never heard that
we've got
metaphor.
a crisis that's destroying our
seconds to rebut.
A frog
and I'm
in
going to
boiling
allow
water.
Senator
We have
Casey
to-
your rebuttal
we have to
first.
put that up
the
on the
original part
board.
of your question was about when these
Good answer.
changes went into
That was
effect by the
very good.
administration. And you make a good point. They should have done this a long time ago. No question about that. But my point is on this is that we're seeing the results. When the administration acted with the limited authority they have, they're reducing border crossings by about 50%. They're way down. That is proof positive. It's a testament to why this bill is so important. The authority in this bill is authority that President Trump asked for and did not get, and authority that President Biden has asked for and did not get. We should give the president full authority to shut down the border when crossings get too high, to change the asylum rules, to have more money for more investment at screening those vehicles coming across packed with fentanyl, and also make sure that we support the Border Patrol Union that is asking for these resources.
Thank you,
and he
Senator
won't
Casey.
support the bill.
You have 30 seconds.
Yeah. Listen, we had a secure border under President Trump. President Biden had it with in his power. By the way, it's interesting. Senator Casey's talking about how I support President Trump. Senator Casey's a 99% vote with his best friend Joe Biden, which is what they've called each other. So they had the power from day one to secure the border. It was secure under President Trump.
John,
They've
I have an
just taken
important
the actions
breaking
now that they
news
should have
moment if
taken,
you want to pause.
and it's
if
a
you want to
national
real quick.
crisis that's undermining our economic well-being, our security, our communities with this fentanyl. This was weakness. This was a liberal...
ARP has some...
What's going on?
From Onward State, U.S. House of Representatives member Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will appear at Penn State at 4:30 p.m. on Friday, October 15th. Ocasio-Cortez's event will serve as a
My
rally for
favorite
the
big
Kamala
booty
Harris
Latina.
presidential campaign.
This Friday?
Yeah. The day after the Vivek Ramaswamy event.
You can already see the wheels turning in his head.
Yeah, we'll talk about this more.
We knew in the world.
Vivek Ramaswamy is going to get
China
more
was
people because
manipulating
he's
the
just
currency.
based.
China was undermining American workers.
That's
he did
incredible.
That. He also invested millions of dollars in a Chinese fentanyl company.
I'm going to
Seconds,
that.
Mr. McCormick.
116,000 people died last year from fentanyl on your watch. Right, on your watch. That's
McCormick's
two
always
Vietnams.
been good
8
on
years of war
fentanyl,
in Vietnam,
always.
58,000. So the failure and those weakness, that the fact that you and Biden and Harris aren't standing up and taking accountability is a true disgrace. And the fact that you're finally taking action doesn't make the failure of action in the past any more palatable.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. We're going to move on to our next topic.
Yes, we now turn to the topic of Puerto Rico. And I will ask the same question to each of you, starting
Wait, what?
with
What a
Mr.
random...
McCormick. Pennsylvania has the third largest Puerto
Wait.
Rican
Did they just give her
population
all the...
outside of
bitch doing here?
Residents of Puerto Rico have been official U.S.
Did they
citizens
just give her all the
for over a
Hispanic-related
century.
questions?
Like every other working
What does
American,
this have to do with
they have the
Pennsylvania?
obligation to pay federal taxes, but they don't have any votes in Congress or the right
We
to
are
vote
not
for
starting
president.
the conversation
This
about
November 5th,
making them a
Puerto Ricans will
state.
hold
I
a
seriously
minority
don't understand.
status
Why is this
referendum
happening?
Where statehood is one of the options they will vote on. Do
You're a
you believe
territory.
the island should decide its future? And would you vote to admit Puerto Rico as the 51st state?
Does the senator from Pennsylvania have something to do with any? Why is this happening?
Well, yes,
in
it's
favor
part of
of
the
it being the
process,
51st
but it's
state.
so
And
unlikely
listen,
right
Uniquely Pennsylvania, though?
Elected,
No.
And Kamala Harris wins the presidency, and they eliminate the filibuster, which is what Senator
That's a
Casey
good
says he wants
response.
to do.
That's
You'll
honestly,
have two
yeah.
places that
That's
get
good.
statehood, Puerto Rico as well as Washington, D.C. You'll have additional members of justices brought on the Supreme Court. You'll have a new Green Deal beyond anything that was ever imagined. So this is tied to the filibuster, and the filibuster, in my opinion, is something that's meant as a check and balance, regardless of whatever party's in power. Senator Casey wants to eliminate that, and it's going to change the balance of power forever if the Democrats win both the presidency and the majority in the Senate. And I think that would be absolutely inconsistent with America's best interest, regardless of what party's in the majority.
Senator Casey.
Yeah, Ilya, if the people of Puerto Rico make that determination, I think we should be open to admitting them. But my opponent, of course, wanted to talk about the 60-vote rule, the so-called filibuster rule in the Senate. Let's talk about that. That is the reason that rule existing, requiring 60 votes for substantive matters, is the reason we haven't passed a background check bill for common sense gun measures to
That's
reduce
a good
the likelihood
thing.
of gun violence.
Having
The
more
number one killer
roadblocks
of
leads to
children and
more
teenagers.
debate.
We're the only country
More
in the world
debate
that has
leads
this
to
problem. It's a uniquely
an actual,
American
more
problem.
comprehensive
If we change
solution.
that
The founders
rule,
created
it's a
these
rule
checks
in
and
the Senate,
balances
it's
for
not
a
in statute,
reason.
it's
You
not
just
a
aren't
law,
smart
not in the
enough to
Constitution.
understand
If
that.
we change that rule,
If we can just-
we could pass a background
if we could
check
just
bill.
pass
If
laws
we change that rule, we
quickly
could pass
and
the
willy-nilly,
Women's
then
Health
we'd be-
Protection Act, which would restore
then we'd
the protections
we'd have
of
no
Roe v.
rights.
We'd have no
Wade.
rights,
If we
yeah.
change
We'd
that
have no
rule,
rights. have a
we
country.
could pass voting rights legislation that has broad support across the country.
That's so
we could do so much
stupid.
to move the country forward, but he wants to hide behind that rule to block progress on substantive matters the American people want us
Mr.
to
McCormick,
take
you have
action
30
on.
McCormick
we've
easily won that
seen
one.
what happens
Easy.
under a Senate majority and Biden and Harris in the White House. We know that Kamala Harris is far more left and radical in her own words than even Joe Biden. We know that Senator Casey is a sure vote, a 99% vote with Biden and Harris. And so, yeah, I believe that filibuster is a way to check the majority in either side going to extremes. That was what the Senate was designed for. If Senator Casey
I have another piece of
really
hot
thinks
news
that
for you.
The problem for him not getting anything done is the
Hold
filibuster.
on.
I think there's lots of.
Go.
In another stunning development, the Michigan Firefighters Union refuses to back Kamala Harris. All of these unions in Michigan are just not going for her.
First it was the Teamsters, now it's the firefighters.
Hey, are you guys done? Because I really want to get back to these Puerto Rico answers.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
This is a major issue.
Finish your fucking thought, because nothing meaningful is happening right now.
No, there's just so many. The issue for Kamala is there's just so many little shanks adding up. She's like Caesar right now. You can only last through so many stab wounds before you just bleed out on the ground. And she's consistently getting blindsided and shanked in the stomach.
That is kind of wild to see, given how they've gone previously. All right. Shall we continue our...
Yes, sir.
Back to Puerto Rico.
I think that's the Spanish verb.
By Yale University and by the University
Are they
of
doing that
Pittsburgh
Yale thing?
Found people living near fracking sites have higher incidences of conditions ranging from nosebleeds all the way to cancer. How does your position supporting natural gas extraction in Pennsylvania impact those who believe the industry is putting their lives at risk?
Oh, my God.
Well, Matt, first of all, I think when you consider what our state's resources are, the advantages we have in Pennsylvania, that's the reason I support an all-the-above energy strategy.
Okay,
that
good.
includes natural gas
He's
extraction.
good on energy. For a Democrat, Casey's good on energy.
I think the difference is between my position on allowing gas extraction, making sure we have other options like nuclear or renewable sources of energy, clean energy. We still use coal in some parts of our state for our energy base. The difference between my position and some other people's position is I support tough regulation. And that is done mostly at the state level. It's mostly depends upon who is the governor. And I think Governor Shapiro will do that kind of oversight to make sure that we can extract natural gas, but do it in compliance with our state's constitutional obligation to ensure clean air and clean water. I think that's the difference. My opponent has talked a lot about energy, but while he was a hedge fund CEO running the biggest hedge fund in the world, he was investing in Chinese oil companies and managing money for the Saudis.
Same topic, different avenue here.
Yeah.
The latest round of hurricanes served as the latest warning that the Earth's climate is not well.
Oh.
The storm that made landfall in Florida last month did more
These
damage
storms
to
are happening at a less rate than they did in the early 2000s. This is a lie. Just like Vivek has been saying, climate change is a lie.
There's fucking moderators involved in the debate. That's what I love.
People who are still cleaning up from
well,
a storm
the idea that it's an
happened 3 years
apocalyptic
ago,
event is
what should
the
they
lie.
know?
Well, yeah, the climate's always changing, but it's not changing because of just America.
Our energy policy is probably the worst because we've restricted our natural gas ability to export, drill, and have pipelines for natural gas with EPA mandates, with all these huge subsidies to China for lithium batteries and solar panels. So we've depressed our natural gas here in Pennsylvania when it's the key to economic growth, it's the key to national security, and it's the key to climate change. That natural gas exported around the world is how we're going to reduce global climate change, not by the Paris Accords, which basically puts constraints on us, but not India and China. It's by replacing coal-fired plants in India and China. That's why emissions in the United States are down by about 15% over the last 10 years. So we're making huge progress on this, and that's what we need to continue to do, is export our natural gas, develop our natural gas. I'm for all of the above. I'm for nuclear. I'm just not for these huge subsidies for solar and wind and electric vehicles that are driving up our dependence on China and driving up the cost of energy for everyday working families in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I agree.
These last 3 answers have all been good for McCormick.
Well, what he's making reference to is legislation that allows us, through tax credits, to invest in a clean energy economy. That's creating lots of jobs all across, thousands of jobs already in Pennsylvania. Many more jobs in red states than blue states, by the way. A whole new part of our economy opening up. Huge private sector investment because of those tax credits. He doesn't support that, I do. But here's the difference. While I was working on that legislation, he was running that hedge fund, investing in Chinese oil companies and managing money for Saudi oil companies.
Good thing we didn't play that game.
He's anti-business. He's anti-success. My career is something I'm extremely proud of. Go to CaseyLies.com to see.
This is the third time. Third time he did it.
Third time,
They did more than tax credits.
We're
they
running
gave
it back.
Huge subsidies to electric vehicles. They had EPA mandates, which are hurting manufacturing jobs in Pennsylvania, not helping. And the jobs that are created are not offsetting, and they're hurting working families. Everybody got a 20% tax increase. It's called inflation, reaching into your back pocket and stealing your money. And that hurts working families the most and seniors on fixed income.
Thank you both on that.
That's the result of his terrible policy.
Our time in this hour is winding down. For this next question, we will only have...
All right, but I mean, one more pause and like, what's the point of fucking watching this shit?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, dog?
So our friend 1776 Raw like added me, Mihai, and you to a Libs of TikTok post. 2,000 Haitians were dropped into Charleroi, PA, a town of just 4,000 people. A Haitian guy attacked a girl on her way to school. Residents report a rise in crime and car accidents. Schools and services are overwhelmed. Pennsylvanians, you shouldn't have to live with constant fear that your child will be attacked on her way to school. Your apartment complex will be taken over by illegals, or you will be the victim of a violent crime. Vote wisely. Why isn't this a debate question?
Yeah, none of these questions make any fucking sense at all. But
it's another just onslaught of these questions that don't attack the real problem.
Talked about Israel and Puerto Rico and not Charleroi. We've talked about Israel and Puerto Rico. Yeah, you get the idea. Yep.
Philadelphia's down a bit this year. It's had 4 straight years of 400 murders or more.
Is he talking about me?
Holding illegal guns.
No, he's talking
about me again. I heard murders and illegal.
It wouldn't have much
he's talking about how Trump murders all the political dynasties.
This is an outrageous debate.
We certainly
just
need to do a lot more. So the things I would is the intersection of guns
has to do with
and
there
mental
being
health.
2 additional
we need to have
unnecessary
appropriate
moderators.
risk protections where
Yeah,
people with
3
mental
moderators.
health don't have access
One
to
of them
guns. We
asked
need to
the
make sure we do
stupidest
that
questions I've
with
ever
due
heard in my
process.
life.
We had a perfectly fine debate last time with just one moderator.
In our synagogues, unfortunately, it requires that we do that. I'm in favor of the policy that President Trump put in place of eliminating bump stocks. But the problem you're trying to solve is not going to be solved by restricting legal gun ownership.
Lastly, in this, should rifles like AK-47s and AR-15s remain legal for purchase across this country? Is it time for
everyone should own one.
The citizens should be able to have anything the government has, up to basically a tank.
I'm for it.
Restricted, the same
I'm on board
rules we
with
have
that.
now. They're used for sporting.
Seriously, we have to protect ourselves from the government.
The
That is
Second
the
Amendment right's
original
a real
intent of the
amendment.
Second
And,
Amendment.
The Second Amendment is a real amendment, and it's a real right of the Constitution gives gun owners, and we need to protect it.
Senator Casey, your question. You changed your position from being pro-gun to wanting restrictions on gun sales and increased regulations after the deadly shootings at Sandy Hook. 12 years later, schools still are grappling with this issue. Just 3 weeks ago, a school district in Delaware County approved a weapon detection system at its middle schools. What have you done since Sandy Hook to impact real change on this issue? 1 minute.
Yeah, Sherry, there's no question about it that we can take action with regard to common sense gun measures. As I said earlier, the gun lobby has a stranglehold on one party. That meant that, it has meant, I should say, for more than a decade, that we can't pass a background check bill. We can't pass a ban on these military-style assault weapons.
I know.
These common sense
unburdened
measures
by
will
what
have
has
no
been.
impact on Second Amendment rights. It'll have no
fines.
impact on law-abiding gun owners who need a gun for self-protection or want a gun to hunt. So we can do both. And that old false choice of protecting people or having common sense gun measures I don't think holds much water. But the problem in this race is
it's a slippery slope, just like how everything else is a slippery slope.
And voted for the bipartisan
They're going to go after
gun legislation, which has brought down
handguns, then handguns, then nothing. No, you're going to get beat on the street.
Because handguns are the type of gun that commit the most
murders. To stand up to the gun lobby to support those common sense measures.
Thank you, Senator, and I believe you addressed the assault weapons in your answer.
Closing statements, 90 seconds for both of you gentlemen. We start with Senator Casey.
Oh, we made it.
Matt,
that went by really fast.
For this
no, it didn't.
No. I want to thank the people of Pennsylvania for this opportunity to talk about this race.
It was all right.
And every day I've been a United States Senator, I've worked on behalf of the people of our state, fighting for working families, fighting for our children every day, fighting for seniors, for people with disabilities, for our veterans, trying to work every day to advance their needs and their interests. I've also passed legislation to help families save for a disability, just like you save for college. So a young child can be the subject of and the beneficiary of a savings account. I've also passed legislation to make sure that women on college campuses are better protected from sexual assault. That's happening all across the country. They have better protections today because of my legislation. I voted for the infrastructure law that invested in every single one of our 67 counties. I've invested in legislation to bring high-speed internet to rural areas, small towns, and big cities and suburban communities. I'll continue to do that. My opponent, while I was working on all of that, was running the largest hedge fund in the world, a hedge fund that invested in China.
Was he running a hedge fund, Bob?
A Chinese fentanyl company that produced 90% of the fentanyl in China, invested in an arms manufacturer with ties to Iran, and the weapons from that manufacturer made their way to Hamas. He's been a candidate who started this race lying about where he lives. You have the choice to make in this race between whether you're going to vote for a senator who's going to support your rights, restore those rights, or a senator who won't.
Thank you. Mr. McCormick.
Yeah, when I went to West Point at the age of 17 and took an oath of duty, honor, country, America was recovering from a decade of decline. We had skyrocketing inflation. Our adversaries thought we were weak. And then we saw leadership. Ronald Reagan turned it around, and he got our country back on track. I was proud to serve him as commander-in-chief. I retired from the Army as a captain after a combat tour in Iraq. But I've never stopped serving my country. I'm a seventh-generation Pennsylvanian, born and bred. I'm a businessman. I'm a political outsider. That couldn't be more different than Senator Casey was born with a political spoon in his mouth. He doesn't know how to create jobs. He doesn't understand the devastating effect of prices on families.
Yeah, thanks.
He is a status quo candidate. He is a weak 30-year incumbent. Bob Casey didn't change Washington. Washington changed Bob Casey. He's for amnesty, open borders, and sanctuary cities. He's voted for every spending bill that's created this enormous uptick in inflation. He wants to raise taxes on Pennsylvanians and lower taxes for rich people in California and New York. He has actually supported males competing in women's sports. Face it, Bob, you are a liberal. Bob Casey, he's been given the opportunity and he has failed us. We need leadership that's going to shake things up, that support and fight for common sense policies, reduce inflation, secure our border, keep America safe. We need leadership that is going to change the direction of our Commonwealth and get it back on track. I'm honored to be here tonight, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick and Senator Casey. Well, this brings us to the end of our debate. We thank you and the candidates, of course, for joining us, for taking part in this, and good luck to both of you. And thank you to our viewers
on the left
for
only
watching
asked two
tonight.
questions,
and
they were all Hispanic related.
Which
They
will
were
take
all
you
Hispanic
to the
related.
6ABC
She did not
elections
need to be
page.
here.
There you will find tonight's debate later this evening for your viewing, as well as information.
Quiet! Quiet, woman. All right, it's over.
Thank God.
That's like one more question for David McCormick. Is do you prefer
What do you
corn
guys-
or tortillas?
I guess we have to do a
Do you like a corn and tortillas or you do you like flour tortillas?
I'm going to love this breakdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have at it.
Honestly, I thought Honestly, I thought Dave McCormick did better this debate.
He was, not going to lie, not great the first half, but the second half finally made me have a reason to vote for him.
All right, there you go.
I was struggling to find reason to vote for him, but his responses on fentanyl and specifically the security of our nation, I think were what finally won me over. Now he needs to alert himself and touch the grass a little bit with some of these other issues, such as, honestly, all of the rest. Israel, like our economic policies, the southern border with the border wall, the guns topic. I think he could have even been a bit harder on. Honestly, like he could have been a bit more Second Amendment. But you know what? He did much better just in terms of presenting himself this time. So he won. He won the debate. Casey came off kind of not entertaining at all.
Yeah.
There you go.
My thoughts are. Yeah, there could be better candidates than McCormick, but he's definitely better than Bob Casey. I think if Trump wins the presidential election, he's going to be on the Trump train because it benefits him. But if Trump doesn't win the presidency and Kamala wins, I think he's going to play himself off as more moderate.
Trump's winning.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a worst case.
Mihai. You've been just chomping at the bit for a chance to give some commentary on that debate because you were like focused in on every word. I think you could quote the entire hour verbatim if you wanted to from memory. But I'm going to limit you to one thought.
Can I talk now?
BobCaseyLives.com.
Yeah, I guess. Go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest. Jack started this off by recapping the entire last debate, and he could have made all that up because I don't remember anything. And as far as this debate goes, I blacked out after Puerto Rico.
Fair.
I'm with you on that.
Puerto Rico?
I don't know.
She did not need to be there.
Did you black out or did you negro afuera?
Wow.
Is that black outside, literally, or something like that? I'm sorry, I cut off your commentary. Continue, please. Continuamos.
No, it's okay. I'm used to it at this point, John.
Did you have?
I don't really have that many thoughts.
I don't either.
My real question is, how many people do you think watch that?
Not enough.
Not our most popular live stream, I'll admit.
Not us, like that debate.
No, in general. Yeah, I think it reflects. So I think the last presidential debate, we had 30,000 people come through, and right now we're at 825 total. So, yeah. That is the content. I like to think we're highly entertaining, and it's really just Bob Casey and Dave McCormick.
Do you think we would have had more views if we did the Ted Cruz debate?
Yes.
I don't know.
Because the Ted Cruz
debate, you young guys underestimate how much no one gives a fuck.
But the Ted Cruz debate is emblematic of Ted Cruz's problem with the base actually liking him.
Hey, if I wanted to talk about Ted Cruz, I'd have that Puerto Rican lady come back on, okay?
Well, the fact of the matter is, hopefully Cruz finally proved that the base can trust him tonight, but the base doesn't like him completely.
No.
And that was the big thing about that debate. Can they actually finally trust him, or is he going to pull another Beto O'Rourke where he wins by 0.2% in a race where it should not be that close?
My final thoughts on this are I'm a little tired of hearing a Pennsylvania-specific date that I bother to tune into, and all they talk about is literally anything and everything other than Pennsylvania.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, and they
who is Dave McCormick be like? We know who Bob Casey's beholden to, but like, why in the fuck would McCormick not just come out and be Trump Jr.? Like, what the hell is his plan?
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. Do you guys know?
I don't know shit.
What I truly think it is that so many conservatives are willing. So many people who actually get elevated to positions of power in Pennsylvania politics don't understand what 2016 was, and even for that extent, 2020. 2016 was a subversion, people telling the government, finally, shut up, get out of our business. We want to be America first, a nationalist nation again, and support the American people above every other interest. What they took it as is if you put a DeSimp up there, then he's going to win. And that's all it is Pennsylvanians basically hired DeSimps to run on the conservative side, and we never win because of that.
I like our local candidates.
The local, I'm talking about federal level.
Like I just don't. I don't really get the strategy. Like it's a slam. I mean, Trump has endorsed him, and so I guess unless I hear differently, I'm gonna vote for McCormick.
Mm-hmm.
But what choice does Trump have?
Well,
he could have not endorsed him, I guess. But like, why would you? Yeah, why would you do that?
He needs the Senate, though.
Well, I mean, I guess again, like I just don't think that there are two factions of the Republican Party right now.
Well, there's at least two, yeah.
There's the modern right, broadly speaking, the modern right, and then the older style conservatives. And unfortunately, PA is still very much beholden to that older style of thought when it comes to
on the state level. It certainly seems to be.
Who is electable? That is why
the Mitch McConnells, the Jeff Flakes, the Mitt Romneys, etc.
That's why they didn't give Doug Mastriano any money, because granted, Doug Mastriano had his own problems, but
they all do.
He was too much of an outsider, so they gave him even less money, which is why he lost by even more than Lee Zeldin did. Mind you, New York voted another 22 points further to the left than Pennsylvania. That's how bad they didn't fund our governor candidate, just as a fun fact.
Yep. No, I mean, good. Any final thoughts here? We're about at the end, and then I'll give my little thing after it before I'll let anybody talk before I cut anybody off. But yeah, we all see him. Yeah, I think Mihai's captured the spirit well.
I'm just waiting for you to talk so I can cut you off.
Cool. this might be our last debate because honestly, these are gay. You can predict them before you even see them. Honestly,
I mean, I enjoy. I'm glad we did it. I'm trying to be invested.
Here for the JD Vance debate.
That was great. That was great.
Actually, we should do a playback at some point of the JD Vance debate and break down how amazing that debate was.
We could definitely do that. So, all right. So that I'll kind of lead us out here. We are now. Well, we're almost open to the public. I think literally tomorrow, something like that. But I'll let everybody.
How many
know.
days? I don't think we got the inspection, and then we got to go with
our inspection technically failed today because we needed for every remodel you do in this area, you have to do 20% towards upgrading ADA. So we missed putting lever handles on the fucking faucet, not the bathroom, the one that never gets used. The door is not ADA. You can't even fucking get to that faucet. And I don't know if you've noticed, you can't get to the front door.
Yeah.
It's not ADA. It's grandfathered in. It's staircases only. And yet in spite of that, because we built a wall, we also needed to put on some more ADA shit, and the only thing left was this faucet that didn't have lever handles, and they failed us. So they're coming back tomorrow. We got to it's already installed. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so we'll have the studio open soon. We hope to see you on the streets maybe of State College, Pennsylvania. Probably not going to be another fun debate, but maybe Trump will accept Kamala at the last second.
I do. If Trump does that, his campaign's over. You can.
I'd watch it.
You can't run a Harris.
You can't.
It was they tried to assassinate him twice, and then they tried to politically assassinate him. That
three times. Three times.
Well, that one's a little weird.
No,
yeah,
that last one, I don't think so.
Doesn't count.
But we're moving closer and closer to having shows every day. You guys are around, I'm around, so we'll get that booted up. The next one is going to be Cider House, like an official drink and have fun Cider House, not a debate. Cider House on Thursday, right? You guys are coming for that?
Sure.
Michael, you're welcome to join us.
Well,
sure.
Thursday might be a bit complicated because
shut the fuck up,
Vivek Ramaswamy is
Shut
coming.
the fuck.
That's
that was actually a good point.
That's gonna be over.
No, hold on. That's actually a good point. Fill us in on that.
So, if you're within driving distance,
Sorry, Jack.
if you are within driving distance to State College, Penn State, Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be having
and Charlie Kirk.
We don't know if he's coming. Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh my God! Just say the key points.
Vivek Ramaswamy is coming to the Sparks building at 5:15 p.m.
30.
If you're within driving distance,
That is it for today. I'm John Ward, and until next time, remember. I'm kidding, Jack. Finish that thought.
Oh no, I finished.
3 pumps, he's done.
That's it for today.
Well, it was great to meet all of you.
Yeah, yes, you'll be on again. We'll all be on again. There's a song here. There it is. I'm John Ward. Until next time, remember, you're a world champion. Don't let your memes be dreams. Dave McCormick. Memes, Dave. Memes.